The liberals are way off on this. These are the people who believe that a fetus is not really a life form, that it's not important. A zygote, as they call it. As if it's some kind of strange alien creature that doesn't matter. They say it with bitterness, a bitter tone. It's just a zygote. Very evil. Very evil. There are some liberals who acknowledge that it is a repugnant act to have an abortion. However, they feel that a woman should have the right to make up her own mind. I disagree. I go one step further. Not only is it murder to abort a child, it is also murder to sterilize someone who wishes to have children. Bear with me now. Anytime you deny a soul or a life, you take away life. So murder is. It is taking a life. There are different stages of life, and it starts with a thought or an urge. Nature's process. If at any point nature's process is interrupted, then you have taken life. There are degrees of it. It is more detestable to kill a born baby, a baby boy or girl, than it is to kill an unborn baby. I agree with that. However, it is both taken life. It is more detestable to have an abortion than to sterilize someone who only wants to have one kid. The liberals would disagree with me on that one. The later the stage of life is up to a baby, the more repugnant it is. And after that, it becomes less repugnant. It is less repugnant to kill an 8-year-old boy, for example, than to kill a baby. Not by much, but it's still less evil. It's less evil to kill a grown man than to kill a baby or an 8-year-old boy. Probably not by too much, but it's still less evil. So there are degrees and phases of these things. Not everyone would agree. I don't blame you. But there is one thing that I'm sure we can all agree on, that most parents at least claim that they would die for their children. So how is it that denying someone something that they would die for okay? How is it that to punish somebody by locking them up for denying someone something that they would die for just and equal? No. That person must also lose something they would die for. And remember, it is nature's way that the children pay for the sins of the father. If the father is poor, they're raised in a poor household. Or the decisions, rather. If the father sleeps with a hooker and gets a disease, the children is probably born with a disease. This is nature's way. Up until the point that they are an adult, they are legally bound to their parents. They follow their rules. They're in their care, in their protection. They are a part of them, so to speak. And when you sterilize someone, you take away a part of them, so to speak. You see, people, the crime is so heinous, so atrocious, so unbearably wicked that you must raise the punishment above that of murder. And I would go as far as to say that if you murder someone's children, your children should be murdered, and then you should be murdered. And that's a discussion for another day. I think any crime against underage people or that affect someone's ability to bring in a child should be punished beyond how we normally punish people. It sets a good standard. It says, look, you don't want to do that because your children will be killed and then you will be killed. If that's not a deterrent, then what is? These sickos are doing this. Now, if for nothing else, listen to me. Listen, hear me out. If for nothing else, you must acknowledge that these people are doing this to control reproduction. Some of them are even willing to die. Some of these people have been known to commit suicide in their older years because they believe in eugenics and population control. You have to do it in a way that makes it so it's not in their best interest to do it. Because the majority, the people on top who are doing this so they can have their children rule the world and be praised for their superior genes. And so that they can punish the political opposition and anyone they deem inferior for not kissing their ass and contributing to a system run by their inferior, despicable, and pitiful, pathetic philosophies. That's why they're doing this. You must also consider what they get out of this. When you consider the punishment, you must consider justice for the victim, the seriousness of the crime, what motivates the aggressor, the transgressor. You must consider the sociological impact on society. Is it good social policy? I say absolutely. Because the types of people who do this are not the types of people that don't care about their children. They're the types of people that super care about their children. One can make the argument that they're not doing this for themselves. They're doing this for their future generations. So that they can live in a world where they're, that they and their children, the future generations, the future, their offspring and their offspring's children, their offspring and their offspring, they can live in a world where they have the advantage, where they are praised, and the genes of the people that the aggressor don't want to be around aren't around. That is what motivates them. If you do not address the motivation, perhaps you shouldn't address it at all. You have to take that from them. You have to take that from them. Because then it doesn't matter how fanatical they are. It's not in their best interest to do it. Them and anyone helping them. You get as many as you can. You crush their movement. What is the point in eugenics when all the people who think they have superior genes are having their children killed and they're either sterilized or killed themselves? What is the point then? That is good social policy. That is the just recompense of their iniquity, and perhaps they disproportionately suffer for their actions. But that's how it should be. Them and their spoiled brat little kids. And on a side note, this is not exactly a key point in this, But on a side note, fuck their spoiled brat little kids who are raised by eugenicist scum. We have seen generations of eugenicists. Bill Gates and his father. David Rockefeller and his father, John. We have seen generations of eugenicists. Their children are almost always like them anyway. Their children are always like them anyway. And why didn't their children turn them in? Why didn't their children stop them? Because they benefit from the dirty sins of their fathers. That's why. That is why. Because they plan to continue the despicable activities of their fathers. That's why. That's why. And they should be executed accordingly.